The rain hadn't stopped for 2 days in the small town of Maple Hollow. It drummed softly against the windows of the old Turner house, the sound filling every empty room. Margaret Turner sat at the kitchen table, a cold cup of coffee in front of her, staring at a stack of unopened mail. Most of it was junk bills, advertisements, one card from a church she hadn't attended in years. But at the bottom of the pile was an envelope that stopped her hand. The paper was yellowed, slightly bent at the corners. The name written in blue ink froze her in place, Maggie. Only one person had ever called her that anymore. Her throat tightened. She turned the envelope over, noticing the date on the postmark 3 weeks ago. Ellen had died 2 weeks ago. For a moment, she couldn't move. The kitchen light flickered. The refrigerator hummed. Everything sounded distant. She slid her thumb under the flap, her heart pounding as if it were trying to break. Out of her chest, the letter was short, shaky handwriting covering one page. Maggie, I don't know if this will ever reach you. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I was angry and I took it out on you. Mom tried to make me call, but I couldn't face you. I hope you can forgive me someday, Ellen. Her hands trembled. She read it again, slower this time, tracing each word with her eyes. Ellen, her little sister, the one she hadn't spoken to in 10 years, the one she'd sworn never to see again. The letter slipped from her fingers and landed softly on the table. She whispered to the empty kitchen, "You always had terrible timing." The clock ticked loudly in the next room. Maggie leaned back, staring at the ceiling. 10 years ago, she'd stood beside Ellen in the same kitchen to grown women screaming at each other, while their mother sat in the corner, crying quietly. It had been their father's funeral. Ellen had accused Maggie of caring more about money than family. Maggie had accused Ellen of being selfish, of abandoning them when things got hard. "I don't ever want to see you again," Maggie had said, her voice shaking with anger and grief. Ellen had replied, "Good, I won't be back," and she never was. Now, 10 years later, Maggie sat in the same chair, surrounded by the same faded wallpaper, the same chipped cabinets. The silence pressed against her like a weight. She stood abruptly, pushing the chair back so hard it screeched against the floor. She grabbed the letter and walked down the hallway to the small bedroom at the end, her mother's old room. It still smelled faintly of lavender and old paper. The dresser was covered in framed photos her parents on their wedding day. 2 little girls on bicycles, Christmas mornings long gone. Maggie picked up one photo, her and Ellen, ages 10 and 12, standing in the backyard, holding sparklers. Ellen's grin was wide, fearless. Maggie remembered thinking she looked like sunlight. She set the photo down gently, then noticed something in the corner, a small cardboard box under the bed. She pulled it out, brushing away dust. Inside were old letters, birthday cards, and a phone that looked ancient, the kind her mother used to keep beside her bed. Out of habit, Maggie pressed the power button. To her surprise, the screen flickered on. A list of recent calls appeared. The last one, dated March 12th, was from Ellen. Her breath caught. March 12th, 3 days before their mother died. She opened the call log again. There were 5 missed calls from Ellen in the same week. None of them answered. Maggie sank to the floor, phone in one hand, letter in the other. Her chest felt hollow. Her mother had tried. Ellen had tried. She was the one who hadn't picked up. That night, she couldn't sleep. She walked through the dark house, the floors creaking beneath her bare feet. Every room whispered memories, the sound of laughter, the smell of Sunday dinners, the sting of that last argument. In the living room, she stopped in front of the fireplace. A framed family photo sat on the mantel, her parents, Ellen, and herself, all smiling like time would never touch them. She touched the glass. "You were always a brave one," she whispered. Her voice cracked. Maggie sat down on the old couch, the letter still in her hand. She read it again, slower this time, letting each word sink in until they blurred together. "I never meant to hurt you. I hope you can forgive me someday." Hours passed. The storm outside eased into a soft drizzle. The first light of dawn crept through the curtains. Maggie folded the letter carefully and placed it back in the envelope. She carried it to the mantel and set it beside the family photo. She stood there for a long time, unmoving, until finally, she spoke into the quiet air. "I forgive you," she said softly. Her voice was barely more than a breath. "I forgive you." Tears slipped down her cheeks. Not the wild, shaking kind, just quiet, steady tears that left tracks she didn't bother to wipe away. The house was silent, but somehow lighter. The air felt softer, like the walls had been holding their breath for years and had finally exhaled outside. The rain had stopped. A pale sunlight touched the curtains, turning the edges gold. Maggie looked up, smiled faintly, and whispered too late. But not too late. She turned off the light, leaving the letter and photo bathed in morning sun. And for the first time in years, she felt something close to peace.